Can you imagine being told you're the heir to a king before you've even had a chance to, prove yourself? Well, that was the reality for Nani, a footballer whose incredible talent was, from day one, trapped in the shadow of this impossible comparison. This is a story about so much more than football. It's really about the weight of expectation, the search for your own identity, and the quiet strength of a true survivor. Right from the moment he stepped onto the world stage, he was put right next to a giant. But look, this isn't a story about being second best. Not at all. It's about figuring out a way to thrive in the toughest circumstances imaginable, to carve out a space for yourself even when you're living in the shadow of greatness. And this really sums it all up, doesn't it? On one side, you have this crushing, unbelievable expectation. Be the next Ronaldo. Just become a perfect copy of a once-in-a-generation talent. But on the other side, you have the quiet reality, a powerful and I think honest story of resilience and survival.
So let's get into it. The impossible comparison. I mean, how did this even happen? What were the ingredients that created such a powerful, and let's be honest, often unfair story from the very beginning?
Well, it was like the perfect storm of circumstance. First, he's a Portuguese winger. He's got incredible pace, a whole bag of tricks, just so skillful. And he had that rare thing, that unpredictable flair that could just flip a game on its head in a second. And then, the final piece of the puzzle, he signs for Manchester United, the exact same club that turned Cristiano Ronaldo into a global icon. The story, it seems, was already written for him.
But to really understand Nani, to get where that resilience comes from, we have to look way beyond the bright lights of professional football. His strength wasn't forged in some fancy, state-of-the-art academy. No, it was forged on the tough streets of Amadora, a suburb of Lisbon. Let's see how his early life really shaped the player and the man.
So Nani's childhood was, well, it was tough. He faced some serious adversity growing up, even losing his father when he was really young. He grew up in a world where big dreams felt like a luxury, and just getting by, just surviving, was the daily reality. And for that young kid, football was so much more than just a game. It was a lifeline. It was his escape from all that hardship. It was his purpose, and it was his way to help his family. The mentality he built on those streets, it wasn't about winning trophies. It was about surviving. That raw, street-level talent he had was just impossible to ignore. And at the famous sporting CP Academy, that talent got refined. It got more disciplined. But he never lost that creative spark that made him so special. And then, in 2007, it happened. The move that would change his life and define his career, Manchester United.
Arriving at Manchester United, that was like stepping into a furnace. Under the legendary Sir Alex Ferguson, Nani entered one of the most demanding places in world football. This was it. This was the crucible where his raw talent was either going to be forged into something incredible or just be completely consumed by the flames of expectation.
And this is what you have to understand about his time there. The pressure was immense. It wasn't just about playing well. It was about living up to this impossible standard. Every single touch of the ball, every pass, every shot was instantly compared to his teammate Cristiano Ronaldo, who was just hitting the absolute peak of his powers. It was a relentless and ultimately an unfair benchmark. Now, Sir Alex Ferguson was famously demanding. For him, talent was just the starting point. It just got you in the door. Nani had to evolve. He had to get smarter tactically, learn when to track back, when to hold his position, when to make that killer run. He had to learn to be responsible on defense. And maybe most important of all, he had to turn those incredible flashes of brilliance into consistent, match-winning performances week in and week out. And this duality, this push and pull, really defined so much of his time at Manchester United. On one hand, he was capable of these moments of just breathtaking brilliance. Goals and assists that you will never forget. But those moments were often mixed in with periods of inconsistency and, of course, intense criticism from the public. It was a constant fight to find that balance.
But Nani was a survivor, and survivors, well, they find a way to adapt and to overcome. And there came a point where that shadow of comparison finally started to fade, and he emerged as a champion in his own right, with a legacy defined by his own triumphs.
From 2010 to 2012, Nani was absolutely flying. He was at the peak of his powers. That next Ronaldo tag, it was gone. It was replaced by the reality of a truly world-class player. He was a crucial part of a dominant Manchester United team, a reliable source of goals and assists. He had finally and totally deservedly arrived. 4. 4 Premier League titles. Let that sink in. That isn't the mark of some flash-in-the-pan talent. That is sustained excellence at the highest level. Nani was a key player in one of the most dominant eras in Manchester United's histories, a fact that I think sometimes gets forgotten. But for all of his success at the level, it was on the international stage where Nani would have his most profound, his most career-defining moment. In the summer of 2016, Portugal, a nation with this rich football history but no major trophies, went on a quest for European glory. And in that incredible tournament, with Cristiano Ronaldo forced off with an injury in the final, Portugal needed heroes. And Nani, along with his teammates, he stepped up. He wasn't the global superstar grabbing all the headlines, but his leadership, his experience, and his crucial goals were absolutely essential to Portugal's historic win. It was the ultimate validation for a career built on perseverance. So when we look back at Nani's career, with all its highs and lows and moments of pure magic, what's his real legacy? Well, I think it's a legacy that kind of challenges our typical ideas of success. It forces us to think about a different, and maybe a more honest, definition of what it means to be great. I mean, his career after Manchester United tells you so much about the guy. It was this journey of adaptation and his pure love for the game. He took on new challenges in different leagues all over the world, taking on new roles, mentoring younger players. He proved that a survivor doesn't just endure, they evolve, and they find new ways to contribute. You see, Nani's career wasn't about fulfilling some impossible prophecy. The world demanded a carbon copy of a legend, but what they got instead was something much more real, much more authentic, a player who carved out his own path and became the absolute best version of himself that the tough world of professional football would allow. And this is what we might call an honest career. It's not some perfect fairy tale of effortless victory. It's a story of hard-won success, of real trophies, a major international title, and the deep respect of his peers. It's a legacy built on survival and adaptation, not on the fantasy of some flawless climb to the top. And so, Nani's story really leaves us with this one big question. What is the true measure of a successful career? Is it all about fulfilling the impossible expectations that other people put on you? Or is it about the quiet resilience it takes to survive those expectations, to adapt and to build a legacy that is authentically and proudly your own?